Hello and welcome to a Reedsy Live, the ongoing series of webinars where we bring on professionals from the world of publishing to show you how to write and publish better books. My name is Martin. I'm part of the team here at Reedsy. It's the place where you can go to get connected with all sorts of people who can help you achieve your publishing goals, whether that's editors to edit your book, designers to design your book, marketers to market your book, or web designers to create your author website. For that is indeed what we're going to be talking about tonight as I bring on a returning guest, one of our top web designers, or probably the top web designer, or most highly rated one here on Reedsy. But yes, I want to thank you very much for joining us. As I mentioned in the pre-show chat, there will be a Q&A at the end. So yeah, I'll be monitoring things. If there's any questions, I'll put a little pin in it and we'll bring it up back at the end. But let me introduce my guest for today, who is a freelance website designer who can be found right here on Reedsy. He has built over 200 author sites over the past 10 years and is our highest rated web designer. You, however, may know him best from his 10-year stint as presenter of the Stu Grant Breakfast Show on Kiss FM right here in the UK. Please welcome Stu Grant. Hey, Stu.
Hi, Martin. That was a surprise. You've been doing your research. Yes.
Well, the first time we met is what you told me about. But
Is
it
it?
only just connected the dots that you were a morning DJ in the Norfolk area. How was that like?
I was, yeah. Well, it wasn't just the Norfolk, it was the whole of the east of England, actually. It was horrendous. I did it for 10 years and had to get up at 5 o'clock every morning to be on air by 6. And yeah, so that was like the world was underwater for 10 years because you're just so tired. Because I was in the business I was DJing late at night on Fridays and Saturdays. So I wasn't getting in till like 4 or 5 o'clock. So it was, my world was upside down. But it was fantastic. I had such an amazing life. It was very decadent. I met lots of interesting, amazing, and famous people. So yes, it was. It's been a wonderful life to have that experience, and I think it's helped with being able to communicate in situations like this, and with clients and whatever else. So yes, you caught me blindsided there. That is my past life. Yes.
Yeah, blast from the past. But yeah, really glad to have you with us today. I think if people go back into the archives, Stu, you gave another presentation a few years ago talking about, I think, a lot of the basics of author website design. And I think you're going to be drilling into some of the more current topics today.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, I don't know when it was that we did that, but it's great to be back. Thanks for having me, Martin. And it's always great to talk to the Reedsy community, and I love being part of the Reedsy sort of ecosystem. So yeah, pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Great, yeah. And if you're interested, you can find Stu's link in the description, which I think, depending where you're looking at it on YouTube, may have been moved to the left-hand side in quite an annoying turn of events. But Stu, I believe you have a presentation. If you want to get that up on your screen, I'll pop it over your way. Brilliant. And yeah, if you need anything, just let me know. I'll be hiding in the wings.
Okay. Well, hi everybody. We'll just enter full screen, I think, for a while, just to make sure you've got a good, clear view of that and not me. I don't know if you can see me as well. Actually, you could tell me if that is the case, because I might pick my nose, so I'll try
Oh
not
yeah,
to.
yeah, they can definitely see you. So,
Oh, okay, right.
I'd say
Noted.
choose your moments before you pick your nose. Yeah.
Yes, I'll try to. I'll try not to fall asleep as well. So that's the same for the audience as well. If you could try not sleeping, that would be really appreciated. But yes, here I am in not so sunny Norfolk in the UK, about 2 hours outside of London, which is where I live with my wife, my daughter, and my dog, all of whom are totally mental. I'm the only one that's sane in my family. And to keep myself a little bit more sane, I help authors make websites to promote themselves and their books. So today, I just wanted to talk through with you some of the things I've learned over the last few years, and tips that you might be able to take away to improve your author life online on your website. And yeah, more than happy to answer any questions, at the end of the session here today. So let's talk about your author website in 2024 and beyond. So let's talk about who I am first of all. We've already had a reveal about where's that not working? There we go. So who am I? Yes, I am a former DJ, also former teacher, but I've been working in this publishing industry now for 10 years. I've been a big part of the self-publishing team, the Learn Self-Publishing team, and the self-publishing show for that time as well. I was part of the team that set up Hello Books, which is a free to reader offering. So you can sign up and get free books through Hello Books. I've made well over 200 author websites. I actually kind of stopped counting at 200 because it just got silly. I am currently the highest rated web designer on Reedsy, which I am so thrilled about and very proud of. So, thank you to all my wonderful clients and people that I've worked with over the few years. And thanks again to Reedsy. So I've got 120 5-star reviews. So you might wonder why there's only 125 star reviews and 200 websites, but some of those have been made in different places, and it doesn't always work that people even leave a review. So anyway, this year I will be a speaker and a sponsor at the Self-Publishing Show Live 2024. And I believe Reedsy will be there. Martin and I met there, I think, last year or the year before, and had dinner, not like in a romantic sense, but we had sponsors dinner, and I think Ricardo from Reedsy is going to be speaking at the event as well. So that is definitely one to be looking at if you're interested in self-publishing on any level. It is the biggest show outside of Europe, and I can't wait to be there. And I know there's a few people hopefully on here looking at us right now who are coming. I'm a Wix partner and legend status, which sounds like a superhero, but it just means you've crossed over a certain number of website builds, but I get kind of extra support from Wix as a result of that. So Wix is my chosen platform. It's the only platform I build on. I've worked with every platform you can think of, from Squarespace to WordPress to anything else you can think of, strikingly. And I settled on Wix because I felt that it was the best platform for an author. It would be, it would be ridiculous of me to choose a platform that I didn't believe was the best and that I didn't see as being the best for authors, because I've got to teach it every day and I've got to use it every day. So for me, Wix is the choice that I've made. And, we are looking at things like Shopify, so confusing, all the similar names. But yes, at the moment, focusing on Wix websites, which are just so heavily laden with amazing plugins and features and functionality that you can't get anywhere else, really. So I can answer more questions about that later. So that's me in a nutshell. I'm not very good with these PowerPoint things because I click the buttons too many times. But today we're going to talk about very quickly not very quickly, but we'll talk about selling direct between Wix and BookVault, what they are and what that means for authors. I'm going to be talking about some new design elements that may help just give your site a lift. And I'd really like you to have your phones ready for one section of the I was going to say show, but of this session, because I've got a little something I'd like you to use your phones for. You'll just need your camera open, basically. We're going to briefly look at search engine optimization and talk about how that can help you getting discovered as an author on Google and any other search engine, what it even is. We'll talk about that a little bit. I'm going to hopefully give you some tips on promoting your site and getting more traffic, which is, ever increasingly difficult. And then at the end, as we've said already, we will have a Q&A, which will probably be this time tomorrow by the time we get through all that lot, but hopefully not too distant in the future. So selling direct with Wix and BookVault, this was a major game changer for me, actually, as a web designer. It was kind of in my radar, but it was really kind of brought to the fore last year at the SPF Self-Publishing Show conference, where I met BookVault. And they said, oh, by the way, we're launching a Wix integration. And I was, right, okay, amazing. There's been proponents of selling direct on your website for a number of years, including Joe Penn and Morgana. I think her name's Morgana Best, and other, big names in the industry talking about selling direct. So being able to allow your readers to visit your website, click on a button, then that order goes off somewhere, it gets printed and sent to the reader. So it's very hands-off for the author, but it's very convenient too. BookVault are a company based just up the road from me, funnily enough, in Peterborough. They do have a US base as well. And they are the people that work closely with me and on Wix. So it just integrates beautifully so that people can visit the site, click on a button, and you get more of the money than you would if you were selling, perhaps through Amazon or elsewhere. So in essence, the customers can buy from you, the author, direct. So there's not a third party involved like Amazon or Apple or anybody like that. You make more money than selling through Amazon, sorry, and BookVault look after all the printing and the posting of your products. What's really exciting for me about BookVault, and funny enough, they have just announced this today. They've got loads of new features coming, and this is where they stand apart from Amazon. And it's great to print through Amazon, that's absolutely fine. But what BookVault are going to be offering is a merch store, so authors can have mugs, t-shirts, the whole shebang. And perhaps more interestingly, very special edition books. So for things like Kickstarters, where you're wanting to raise money, or you're just trying to sell very special editions, they're doing things like foiling with gold and silver and, kind of all embossed stuff. It's absolutely beautiful, some of the things that they're going to be able to produce, which enables you to charge more to your readers so that they will spend more on special editions and what have you, and you'll end up making a lot more money per, people are selling these kind of things for, actually like 50 to hundreds of pounds. They're doing bookend spraying, I think that's what they call it, but that's really interesting. So if you think about a book and you look at it kind of on the edge where the pages are all kind of lined up, they can spray stuff on there, so you actually get like an image on your book, not the spine but the other bit of the actual pages of the book. So some really cool, interesting things to investigate, and that's why I was so drawn to BookVault as a partner for me.
Stu,
And
we've got a question here from Marilyn, who's asking, is BookVault available worldwide?
yes, so their main print locations are the UK and the US. So depending on where the purchase is, it will get sent from one of those outfits, the closest one. It works it out which is the most efficient and sends it from one of those. And no doubt they will invest in others elsewhere. So the pro for using something like BookVault, there are other alternatives, but we're talking about the things I use today. So BookVault, there's more money for you. You're in control much more. You don't have to worry about other people, suddenly switching your account off, or things disappearing, or terrible reviews that you can't control, or whatever. You've got full control over it. Now, the cons are that you have to drive your own traffic to your website. The advantages of using Amazon and other stores is that they have their own organic traffic. They draw people in through their own advertising and marketing. And when your readers are on there, they get served options and suggestions, and that might be your book, which of course doesn't happen on your own website, not in the same way anyway. So yes, it's almost a bit more of an effort to get people to arrive at your website to buy the book in the first place. And don't quote me on the exact rules, but you can still sell on Amazon. So there's nothing to say you can't have a print book going out from your website and from Amazon. If you're in KU, Kindle Unlimited, there are different rules around what you can print and what you can't. But I think I know, but I don't want to confirm that in case I'm completely
KU,
wrong.
I think the limit is on ebooks. You should be able to
Yeah.
sell them through there, but you need different ISBNs for each edition you have. I don't think there's any distributor that does limit that.
No, that's right. Yeah, and you can buy ISBNs through BookVault as well if you're in that situation. But anyway, so that's it in a nutshell. Again, I will stop saying that. But it's a really exciting step, because it doesn't mean you have to do this. You can still sell to all the other stores that you want to sell to, Amazon. It doesn't mean you have to be exclusive on your website. So you could have buttons that say, click here to buy direct from me and support me as an author more. And then you could have another button that says, click here to buy from Amazon or wherever else it is you're selling. So it's just an extra opportunity for authors that's come through really rather quickly, but has seen a massive uptake. So, I know BookVault, we're talking about, signups were at this level over here a few years ago, and now they're up here, and it's just gone crazy, which is amazing. And they're very focused on the indie author market, particularly. They love the community. They go to loads of events. They've been to virtually every conference you can imagine. So if you're ever at a conference, look out for Alex. He's a guy that I deal with the most, and he's a superstar. So yeah, Alex is a genius, and he does all the developmental stuff in the background. So let's talk about design elements to enhance the reader experience. So one of the things that I try and do is create an immersive and engaging experience. I come back to this a lot in these kind of presentations, that your website has to be about the reader and not about you. Okay, because that is who you're trying to attract. So it doesn't really matter what you think and what you like. Obviously it does, but what we're really focusing in on is how we can get those readers, one, to your website, and then two, how we can get them to stay there, look around, and get involved, either buy the book or fill in a form or whatever it is that you want them to do. I mean, they're the two main objectives of an author website: sell books and build your list. Okay, there are other ways to do both of those things, but this is a way that you own. It's your bit of the internet, and you get to kind of control the whole thing. One of my sort of unique selling points or USPs is that we make sure that the website is an experience, and that it is also very much like a book cover. We talk about a lot about, you know, checking the genre of your book covers in your genre, making sure that your book cover looks like everybody else's. You know, there's no point in being standing out in a genre, because people won't know what to expect. And I believe that that's true of your website. It needs to tell me immediately when I get there who you are and what you do, what genre you write in. So when we're creating them, we try to make it very engaging with, you know, lots of video and animation. Animation is used to draw the eye of the reader. So if you want readers to look at something, then make it move. That's just a fairly standard kind of objective. And, you know, there's lots of static websites out there. I'm not saying you have to do any of this, but this is where I believe it's going. And if you look at websites around the world of big companies, they're all kind of using these techniques now to draw the readers in and make it more of an experience. So they're the kind of two extra bits, certainly to start with, that will enhance the reader experience, rather than just a blank white page with a couple of books chucked on and a couple of buttons. You know, tell me something about you as an author. Tell me something about the book. Tell me something about its environment, its feeling, its, you know, where it's set, anything like that. We want to kind of experience that immediately and be kind of intrigued by what we see. So other things that might increase or enhance the reader experience are very interesting stuff that I'm going to show you in a second. So things like different versions and interesting formats for your book cover. So things like AR. Now, obviously, AI is the big talking point at the moment, but AR, which stands for augmented reality, is also very much incoming, and it's in its infancy in many ways at the moment. But, you know, Apple have just launched those big AR glasses. You know, if we look at companies who invest in things that are coming, Apple is a good one to look at, and they are very much putting their money behind AR. And I think we will see it more and more as time goes on. We've already seen an explosion of things like QR codes, which have been around for yonks ages, and yet only now are we starting to see them on the back of cereal packets, at the end of the news, you know, in adverts on the telly. You know, you can't really look anywhere anymore without seeing a QR code, which is what we'll look at in a second, which is also another exciting step. Originally, they didn't take off because they weren't native to iPhones, basically, in Apple. So they weren't willing to add QR functionality to their devices. And so it killed it for a long while. And then as soon as they kind of said, you know what, we'll give this a go. I'm sure they didn't say that, but in those kind of terms, it went bananas. And I'm sure you've all seen QR codes all over the place, you know, from shopping to God knows what, you know. And we'll talk about why that's really exciting for authors in a second. Plus, I've been looking at adding some really interesting stuff around the book itself on the website. So things like the reader sample. You know how you can go to Amazon and underneath your listing, you'll see the button that says reader sample or reader preview or whatever they call it. You know, you can do that on your website. So we've been involving that very much in our process, so that when readers are there, they're not just drawn to the book cover, but they're drawn to what else is there, and they could read a sample of it. That takes them to the same page as Amazon provides. So it's got all the buy now buttons as well. So it's a great place to take a reader, and it gives them an opportunity to read that 15% or whatever it is that Amazon will serve to a reader. And audio clips. So unbelievably, it took ages, but they started to put audio clips underneath that book cover on Amazon as well. And I've worked out a way of managing to harvest that and add that to websites too. So now when the person is on the website, they're not just seeing a book cover and thinking, shall I buy it? They can, oh, I'll read a bit of that. Oh, that's cool. Oh, brilliant. There's an audio book. Oh, I'll listen to that as well. So, you know, if you have all these formats and you've got the kind of ability to do it, it's a great way to engage the reader and bring them back in to do something and take action on your site. And that's another 2 reasons why they might buy it. One is the book cover, or 3 really. One is the book cover itself. 2 is the blurb or the description. Then they might actually like the book by reading a sample, and then they might love the audio clip and buy that. So in a sense, you've given the reader 4 more drops at buying or getting involved with that book. And that's what it's all about. So these are the kind of things that I've been working with a lot with my team, and some of the things we've been doing for clients. So I'm going to show you a few. So these are some websites we've done recently. They really were picked off kind of randomly. So just in terms of video movement and animation, I'm going to just close this down to exit full screen and then pop over to my Chrome. Hopefully you can all still see what we're doing. Okay, so Michael's site. We can see here we've got a video in the background which immediately tells us kind of themes around the book itself. We've also got an animated book cover. So this is something else that I want to share with you that I'm doing now as something that I really think is very exciting. Just kind of putting some interesting overlays and animation on the book cover itself, just to take it to that next level and let readers understand what it's about and how it feels and what kind of book it is. So we've got, all kinds of bits and pieces going on here. We've got some nice slow, we don't want it looking like a PowerPoint presentation. This guy's actually somebody you probably know. He's the author of Avatar. We've got all his book covers in the background doing some nice kind of slidey stuff. We've got, some motion and movement on the book, so it makes me want to click it and see what it does, or hover over it. Got all kinds of bits and pieces going on there. And it just immediately takes me to a place. I've got a sense of this book. Water, there's something obviously going on. It's probably a thriller. It is, but I hope that that's kind of in that essence straight away in terms of what's going on that landing page. Next one along, which I'd like to show you. This literally, we finished this yesterday or the day before, I think. So this is Neil. He's written a really cool kind of adventure, slightly humorous book based in lots of locations, and I'll leave you to guess which one we're focusing in on here. But straight away, even just the motion of the camera is drawing us into this website. It's kind of asking us to look at it and see what's going on, and we can see the book there. We can buy it straight away. At this point in the website, I generally don't have too many places to click, because we want them to either go down or do something here, whether it's fill in a form or buy the book. So the only thing that is really clickable at this point is the buy now button. If someone's come to buy the book, I want them to do it straight away. Then we just carry on going. We've got some nice kind of slide ins. You can't help but look at it because it's there. Then we've got a nice reveal of the author with his bio over there. We can learn more about him if we want to. So if we open that in a new tab, I can't remember what it does, but there'll be something else. Oh, okay, so it's another. So he's a multi-Emmy nominated director. He's worked for Discovery, and he wanted to have kind of Pompeii, Rome, Egypt, all of those things. So these are all things that we've added to the site to give it that atmosphere and that essence, so that again people know immediately what kind of thing to expect from the books. And I know somebody's going to ask me about multi-genre books and websites, and obviously that is another thing to talk about, but not right this second. Charles Schaefer, I'll let you guess what kind of books he writes, and hopefully you'll be able to tell straight away, obviously not just from the name. We've got people who are going to take action, hopefully, to join the mailing list. We've got 2 of his books out there, the 2 latest, and we've got some really nice kind of reveals here. If you look here, that the book kind of reveals itself over the previous book, and people can read more about that book, so they can head off to the actual book page. And then there's some really nice backdrops that just give you a real sense of experience and a sense of what the book's about. Immediately you can see it's sci-fi, and it's just styled around everything we hope a reader would take from the book. Next up, as an example, very different, we've got a historical drama here from Paul T. Shurung, who's actually the author of Prison Break, if you remember that on the telly. So he's got a kind of more muted website with some interesting, this kind of moves around and people can spin this around to see the different projects that he's written or done. So we've got some nice information there, and kind of using the set of a TV show and whatever as well to give a kind of hint about who he is and what he's done. And then he's got some other bits and pieces, obviously books that we wanted to promote. That was his last or latest book, should I say? So we've got a little bit of movement on the shoreline there. It's obviously called The Far Shore, so that works, but it doesn't distract from what we're reading and looking at. And we can read the blurb, and we've got the big buy now button, and then a read and extract, and I can show you what I was referring to earlier. So if we open that link in a new tab, then you can see it shows me the Amazon result, which you get on Amazon. So we can embed that nicely into a website, and give the reader, that experience without having to go to Amazon. But if they want to choose to buy it, they can at this point as well. So we don't lose them because they're not going off anywhere that they can't then buy the book. So that's a really neat little kind of feature that we like to add to books that do have that. So always remember to upload your preview if you can when you're doing your upload to Amazon. Next one is the book. Yep, so we've just looked at that. So Kate is a historical fiction author again, but hers is very much around Art Deco. So there's actually less movement on this one. We wanted it to be a little bit more serene, I suppose is the word. So there's a little bit less, but it's got immediately, it captures the essence of the book cover. It's got a feel about it that we kind of recognize. We know straight away what kind of thing it might be. Then we've got her books page, which might have slightly different stuff. So we've got showing all of, using Book Brush, which is a fantastic tool to create these images of 3D books, big buy now buttons. We don't always use these big buy now buttons, but we choose different things for different people. Nice contact form again. It's not just a contact form stuck on the end of your website that kind of sits there and is not attractive. It's something we want people to go, oh, that looks beautiful, and I want to fill it in. And it makes it have it gives you a relationship as an author with the reader much more, because it tells them something about who you are and what you do. Next along, we've got Ian. So he's a fantasy author. So we've got some really cool fire effects and dragons flying in the background, and all that kind of good stuff. Immediately we know where we are. We're in young urban fantasy. We've got lots of action and movement. We've got kind of, his books would feature a lot of fire and fire breathing. So we wanted some sparks and, all that kind of stuff that we've got on the site here. We've got an about page for Ian. Again, a little bit more toned down. He likes sailing. So we try and use elements of the author's life in the actual kind of backgrounds and surrounds for what their life is. So again, the reader gets a bit of an opportunity to understand who this person is. Then we've got the books page, which again has got lots of fun dragons flying across the screen, and immediately this is going to be a fantasy book with all kinds of moving bits and pieces, lots of fire. But I think you'll agree that's very atmospheric, it's very immersive, and it's very clear what this book is all about. So we're not just talking about how the book cover looks, we're talking about this whole experience of who the author is and what kind of books they write. And I have to say, I love these cute little dragons. I'm sure they're not cute, but they look amazing. And here he comes in front of the text, and then he blows a big bit of smoke, which has gone off screen. But yeah, so that's just fun, I think, as well as interesting and a good selling point. Connor, again, we'll let you try and guess what he does without looking at the title, which gives it away somewhat. So modern Gothic novelist. So, we've got this very dark kind of blood splats appearing, crows in the background, strange and weird and wonderful creatures. I'm not talking about Connor. I'm talking about, in his books, we've got, sign up to his newsletter. We've got kind of, again, a much more experience-based kind of position in terms of what we've designed for this website. We try and make every website bespoke, so hopefully at this point you're not thinking they all look the same. They most certainly don't. We don't use templates, and we kind of create from scratch, very much taking account of what the books are about, where the author's from, what their kind of attitude is, what they're sort of trying to achieve, and all those kind of things. And then obviously on his book page, it's dark and strange and spooky, and this kind of weird monuments and what have you.
We've got a question here From Woodland Lady says, all that movement makes me think those web pages are not budget friendly. I imagine with these sort of animated and video elements, but I imagine those are stock footage that you can license for this, or are they bits
Yeah,
available through Wix?
a bit of both actually. Wix has quite a huge bank of videos you can use for backgrounds and whatever without license issues. I use a video bank provider for a lot of the videos we use, and they're all licensed for using on websites and commercial use. So no, it's not particular. I mean, you do have to, obviously, if you want to make loads of these and you're going to use lots of videos, you've got to pay to use them. But if you're doing just the odd one here and there, then it shouldn't be. There are actually quite a few free video websites that you can pick up lots of kind of videos like this. But you probably have to go to a more specialist one if you are looking for things like particular periods or locations or whatever. Something like this is probably widely available. This kind of blue, weird kind of thing, psychological thriller. So we haven't gone for the obvious stuff here. We've gone for a bit more of an atmospheric kind of approach. So we can see here we've got a bit of fog blowing in across the which was taken off the book cover. It's there on the book cover as well. So, and then we've got the sky above, which is all about something to do with fire. So again, we've got, it's a different video but the same idea, the kind of sparks and what have you. Then we've got the free book about, I'm not sure if there's anything particularly, just a nice background, just a bit weird. Again, that was what the lady had asked for. And let's just have a look at this. So yeah, again, just kind of lots of movement, drawing the eye. Let's see all these book covers. I really want to read them and see them. Next one, and then I think this is it. So this is actually my teamie who works with me as well on all these websites. So Ellie, she's one of the team, and she's created a website of her own, obviously. And one of the things that I wanted to show you about what she's been doing with us is creating these animated these animated book covers, which you can actually use anywhere. So they don't just have to be used in your website. They can be used, on social media or whatever. And again, it just makes me go, wow, that looks amazing. I want my book cover to do that. It just gives me again a sense of atmosphere and environment. So, we've got a nice background there. What's coming next? We've got a wolf in the background. So just using very subtly, really, a little bit of video just to, make this more interesting and make sure that I look at it. And we've got, obviously, Instagram feeds and what have you. So, this is the kind of stuff we're looking at. I don't think I had another one. No. Okay, so that's kind of a brief kind of examples of what we're doing and why we do it and what we can achieve at this point in the world. We are on the edge of so much technology that who knows where this will go next. But that kind of takes me on to the next thing. So the reader sample, I've kind of demonstrated that already. But here with Sally Rigby, who's really has been successful in recent years. She was great to work with, still is. So here we've got that reader preview button on her website, so you can kind of click that through. And then another lady, Michelle Vernal, she's got loads of audio books. So we've managed to create that audio sample in here so that people can, see the audio book cover, they can read the blurb and then listen to it as well. Just the sample that's provided by Amazon. So we're not, it's not illegal to use or anything like that. So it's just an added bonus that we can use on the website. So here's some more examples of some moving and animated book covers. So obviously the one on the end is where we've just been looking at Ellie's book cover, but we've got some fire and smoke going on with Rage of the Djinn from Ox de Vere. What a brilliant name that is. And then Michael again there with his Both Here and Gone, with his underwater bubbles and slowed down speed. So it all looks like there's something underwater and somebody's drowning or whatever. I don't know if you can make out the face there, but it's just kind of putting something on the book cover that makes me look at it more and draws me to it. Some of these book covers are beautiful. Some of you might think this is sacrilege to add, extra bits. Obviously you don't have to do it. So, but for most of the authors that we're working with, they're absolutely bowled over by this concept and they love the idea of it. And I think they understand that it does draw a reader in. Okay, so next up is a bit of an experiment. I hope this works. So this is the bit where I need you to take your phones out of your pockets if you're not already looking at them. And what I need you to do is open your photo app, just your normal standard photo app, and scan that QR code. Once you've scanned it, it will ask you to open a little kind of bit of software. You just click yes or open, and then I want you to hover, like it will give you instructions to, over that book cover here. Okay, and hopefully something interesting will happen. All right. So this is a book about Vietnam War. It's actually written by a former soldier, so really interesting to read. So we've just put an experience not only on the website but on the book cover, and even a stage more than animated kind of experiences. There should be a picture of a helicopter that pops up over that thing. I hope it's working. I don't know if you can get a quick hands up around the room, Martin, to see if that's working. But
Oh, it's working. It's working for me.
Great. Okay. So this is really exciting because the stage that's been missed out, which was the problem with AR previously, was that you had to download a specific app to have this happen, right? Now the technology's moved on and you don't need a specific app. You can just jump from a QR code. And what you can actually do is embed the QR code just down in the corner of the book cover, so that you don't even have to have it listed separately. It can all be part of the same experience. Obviously, it does interfere slightly with the book cover, but this will change and update as time goes on. But we're in the infancy of this technology, but I think it's really exciting. So if we do the same again with this one, so if you would all like to just scan that code and do the same thing, just drift over the book cover and see what happens. And I'm really sorry, but it's me talking. There we go. I can hear myself.
Yeah, that's me. Yeah.
So just have a look at that. Give you a few seconds just to play and make sure it's working and get a sense of what's going on.
Shall I try? Shall I try to use my camera to show what it looks like?
You can try.
Okay, I'm going to do... Here's my one. I've got my phone here. And then... Oh, just wait. Doesn't work anymore because I'm not looking at your thing. Oh, well. Sorry about that.
But yeah, so there you've got obviously me as a pretend author introducing the book and saying thanks for coming along and sign up to my mailing list and whatever. And that is just from the book cover. There's nothing, that is, so in bookshops you could have all of your books lined up and every cover they scan gives them a different result. It could be you can do galleries of photos, but it could be inside the book, so you could print one of the pages from your book, just a standard text page, and if people scan it, it could show them the place that you're talking about. So if it was the Arc de Triomphe or whatever in Paris, they scan the page and there it is. They can see whatever it is you're talking about. So the opportunity here to make the book itself an experience is phenomenal, and I am just so excited by this thing. This is slightly further than obviously websites themselves, but what we're always trying to do is find ways to help authors engage their readers, and I think this is a really interesting proposition, at least. So very quickly, I can't remember how long are we supposed to be running for, Martin? Are we supposed to wrap up about 8:45?
Ideally we want to leave a bit of time for a Q&A, so maybe
okay.
That.
All right, I'll just whip through these quickly then. In terms of search engine optimization, this is what you can do to your website to help it get found on Google or any other search engine. So keyword research. So this means using keywords that are associated with your genre or whatever it might be that you're doing. And you kind of have to identify some relevant keywords for your target audience, because you've got to think, again, like a reader, you've got to think, what is a reader entering into a search engine that I want them to use to bring them back to my website? So you want to put some of those keywords into the text and the back end of your website so that Google reads that and says, okay, there's someone over here Googling, sci-fi fiction. Okay, well, there's a website over here that says it's all about sci-fi fiction or whatever. It's obviously fiction because it's sci-fi, you know what I mean? So, and Google says, okay, well, I'll serve that website to that person, and those two things match up. So there's lots of tools out there for finding keywords. I mean, it's the bane of authors' life probably on things like Amazon and what have you as well. But, for your website, it's very important. And there's lots of tools out there now, AI tools as well, that help. So creating quality content. So if you're writing blogs and things like that, it's got to be valuable. It's got to be engaging. And this is what I'm taking you back to with the stuff that we're doing, that it is engaging. And the more visitors you get, the longer they stay on your website, the more kind of actions they take, the better it is for you and your site. On page optimization. So you just got to make sure that all the titles are the right type of titles. So this is all a bit deep and meaningful, but you want to make sure that, you know, there are H1s and H2s in the right places, which are basically the things, again, that tell Google what this website is all about. Meta descriptions are the things that you see when you Google something, and you can actually create those, you know. So when it shows you a result, it often shows you the website in blue and then 2 lines of description about that page. And what that has to do is tell the user and Google what to expect when to clicking that page. That's what the meta description should be all about. Also content structure. So there's some stuff around having a nice lot of links from one page to another, so they can always go from the contact page back to the home page, or they can go from the books page to the contact page. So buttons, you know, around the place, or ways of getting to other places on your website. So like a spider's web of connectivity, that is really important as well for Google's kind of understanding of a website and how it works. Backlink building. This is really important actually as well, but much more difficult. So you earn links from reputable sites in your niche. And what that means is you have your site listed on some big sites, maybe something like BookBub, or some, you know, Reedsy, or wherever it is, a site that's got a lot of respect, you know, on terms of search terms. If you can get your website somehow on those sites, it gives you a lot of authority. Then Google sees your site as something people use and rely on. And I'll give you a little tip for how you can at least help to increase those backlinks. They're just basically support links that point to your site from other places. Website performance, obviously you want to make sure that it's not loading slowly, and critically that it's mobile friendly or optimized for mobile, or iPads or tablets. That's critical. Basically, I think Google won't rank any sites now that aren't mobile optimized, so that if yours isn't, you might as well turn it off, because you know, it has to be now. So that was a very brief. So these last couple of bits, just promoting your website, hopefully some takeaways here. So putting your website address, and the amount of authors that I despair for because they don't do any of this stuff and then say, nobody goes to my website. Well, actually, it's very difficult to drive organic traffic. You have to shout about it. You have to make noise. You have to have some fireworks around what you're doing. So, you know, what about even on the front and back cover? I've seen a few books recently, and the web address is actually like underneath the name of the author on the front cover. It's also on the back cover. And then inside the book, it's, you know, we've talked a long time about back matter, but why not have it in the front matter as well? There's absolutely no reason why you can't have that website peppered across every aspect of your materials, whatever that is, or whether it's a book or a PDF or whatever. Have it in your audiobooks. Now, I need to check whether this is legal in the sense of Audible, certainly, but I listen, you know, constantly to audiobooks, and now I've listened to a few authors who, when they finish the book, they say, thanks for listening to my book, and if you want to sign up to my newsletter, why not visit my website at blah 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 blah, and, you know, get a free whatever, or whatever the offer is. So there's absolutely, again, no reason why you can't have your website in your audiobook. On your email sign off, that's such an obvious place to have it, but again, so many authors don't put it there. So get a service that can create a little email sign off. They're very cheap. You can normally pick things up like that on places like AppSumo and other places. Once a week on social media. Again, why are you not doing this? I'm not here to tell you off. I don't do it either. But, you know, this is a strategy that you can use just to keep putting your web page on the, you know, even if it's got nothing to do with it, you could just say, you know, currently writing book number 3, really enjoying it. Don't forget to check out my website if you want more news on what I'm up to. Anything like that, you know, once a week, even just the new cover or the old cover or whatever it is, and always attach your web address. That's the point. In your link in bio. So if you've got an Insta or a Twitter account, it's got to be at the top there. Your website should be, you know, whether it's in a link tree or whatever, it must be in your link to bio. in your link in bio. Good old fashioned bookmarks. If you go out or you're going networking or anything, get some cheap old bookmarks printed. Make sure they look lovely, obviously, but add your web address to them. And this is where I was going to talk the next one about backlinks, other authors. So if you've got friends in the author community, and I hope you have, and beyond, but if you know other authors, why not ask them if you can put your web address on their website and vice versa? So you might have a page on your website that becomes, my recommended readers or reading, whatever. And then you could list a few of your favorite and trusted authors. And just having those web addresses in other places will actually give your site a lot more credence and a lot more kind of status in the world of internet, if you like. So that's a really good tip. If you've got friends, do a bit of a web address share and create a page on your website or a section or anything where there is some backlinks of people that you want to help as well, and then obviously they will do the same for you. So it places like in the header of your Facebook page. So if you've got a big horizontal header at the top of your Facebook page, you've probably got your name and a picture of your book, 3D, whatever, but have you got your web address? It's such an obvious thing, but have you got it everywhere? Even in the profile picture, you've got your lovely faces, but have you got a banner that goes around it with your web address or a thing underneath it? You've got to kind of think, and I hate this phrase, but outside the box in terms of where you can basically graffiti the world with your web address to get people to visit. You'll be amazed how inquisitive people are, and if you put web addresses, they'll often click on them to see what they are, especially if they look legitimate, like your name or whatever. And then lastly, obviously business cards, fairly similar to bookmarks. Just get it out there. Even if you're going somewhere, I don't know, and give it to your friends, give it to whoever that will take it, and you never know where that will end up. You take a friend's card, you go home, somebody says, "Oh, I love sci-fi." "Oh, do you know what? I've got a friend who writes sci-fi. Yeah, there's a card." So on and so forth. Oh, little jitter there. So that's me done. So we're a bit 2 minutes over. Sorry, Martin. I hope there's time still for a few questions.
Oh, no, yeah, plenty. We've got until the end of the hour. So if you have any questions, do drop us a thing in the chat here on YouTube. Well, let's have a look here. There's a lot of there's controversy in the comments about the sort of movementy style, the parallax scrolling and the videos in the back. Are you finding this is generally what's the sort of philosophy behind that? Why you're going for that rather than something a bit more static?
Yeah, I mean, it does often come down to personal choice, but I just think we're in a situation where, in culture terms, we are very familiar with things that have kinetic energy. They move, they live, they breathe. I think it makes the website come alive when you see some of these movements and actions and videos. It's rather than just being a static page, which you might as well just print a leaflet if you're going to do that. Give your readers an experience. I think I've kind of covered off the reasons why I use those kind of techniques to make it immersive and engaging. It's not to everyone's taste, that's absolutely fine, but neither are static websites. So there's an argument for both sides of the coin, but that's what we do, and that's what our clients tend to love and come to us for, because we are coming up with very creative and kind of more I can't say that word, exponential. No, that's the word.
Experiential.
That's it. Thank you. Yeah, and that's what it is. That's why we're doing that, just to kind of take a step back from the standard, it's been done like this for years, and go, okay, how can we make this really contemporary? How can we make this really up to date and an experience for the modern contemporary world? And where is that going? And like I said, if you go to Apple or any of the other sites like that, you'll find that in places certainly they're using this dramatic kind of movement and engagement. So yeah, I don't think we're out on a limb here doing this in a void. We are part of something that's coming through, and I think we'll all become more and more familiar with it. We're all used to seeing film trailers, and we all watch TV and look at our phones, and they have video. Everybody knows this is not a questionable thing. Everybody knows that video is one of the greatest converters of users into customers. That's why Instagram, TikTok are so successful, because video in its essence is an amazing tool to grab people's attention. So if that's the case, which of course it is, then we use it on our website.
Jim Flaherty has a question here. If one engages you to create a North website, how many shillings, pounds, dollars, or pesos for your time and skills? So what would you say would set an author back if they were to hire you?
Yeah. Okay. So there's lots of different kind of people out there doing different levels of stuff. I know that from Reedsy, I'm in the kind of lower end actually of pricing, but we're starting really around, and it wouldn't necessarily have all these bells and whistles, what kind of some of the stuff we've shown you, but our starting price is around £800 to £900. All right, and that would be for a one page, or sorry, a one book website. I don't tend to work in pages. I tend to work in books. So obviously, if you come to me and say, I've got 20 books and 3 series, obviously the time on that is so much more than a one book website. You get the same amount of effort put in, but obviously there's different in cost. So it's a kind of sliding scale in terms of how complex it is. There isn't just really a piece of, an answer that I can give you, because a lot of authors want other stuff as well. They might want a coaching area. They might want, who knows what. And so we kind of budget for all of the different bits that an author might want. But yeah, starting kind of around the sort of £900 mark, I suppose, £800 to £900.
Got a question
Yeah.
here from Glenn. What advice do you have about creating a website where your book is just a part of it? I'm involved with lots of different projects. Would like to have something to collect emails and showcase all work. What are your sort of thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, again, we've made lots of sites for authors that have another aspect to their life, whether it be coaching or even a completely different thing out of this kind of space or sphere of publishing. I think it's perfectly acceptable, as long as, and this is the critical bit, as long as your architecture tells the reader what they're getting when they get there. So when they get there, they need to know, okay, this guy is an author, but he's also a this or whatever, a painter, or somehow you just need to work on leading that reader through those 2 or 3 even experiences of what this person does and what they offer the customers that come through their website. And there are lots of ways to do that, but you just have to think about the navigation, think about where the eye is drawn, and think about what how easy it is to find the different areas. There's no point in having just a tiny little menu at the top that says coaching, maybe, because that might just get lost.
I say, yeah, setting up like multiple landing pages on your site. So, if you want someone to find out about your books and you're doing all that activity on social, they can land on the page that's all about your books instead of having to land on there going, Glenn Loveland, I thought he was an author, but I'm seeing these things about his art and stuff, and then having to hit the hamburger and scroll your way down. I
Yeah,
suppose you want people to get to the bit that you're sending them to, and if it's about
yeah,
promoting your book, you want to get to the page where you're promoting your book.
yeah. And
Uh,
obviously you can create very bespoke URLs, which are basically the address. So let's say it's stuartgrant.com/, and it might be coaching or /books or whatever. And then you'd use the right page, if you like, for the right environment. So if you're trying to shout about your coaching, you'd use that address, and if you're trying to shout about your books, you use the other address. But in its simplest form, if you look at this, what we're looking at the moment, if you could imagine this button being split in two, and one side says author and one side says coaching, that in itself could be the simplest kind of landing page ever. But I land there, it's got my name in the middle, and it says whatever it says, and I click through to get to wherever I want to go. But it's also critical, as I was saying about links and stuff, that when you get here, that there is an opportunity to come back to here without having to jump necessarily back to this landing page. So you want a button on this page that says, sort of, now you've read about my coaching, would you be interested in reading about my books? Yes, I would. Click here, it jumps back over to here.
I got a question here from Eileen. Should the book be completed before the website is set up?
No, no. Actually, Google takes ages to list the site and learn about it. So the quicker you get your site up, the better. I cringe when authors say, "Oh, I'm launching my book on May the 1st, and I want my website to go live then." No, because then it's another. Well, it's anything from 6 days to even 6 months for Google to decide that it's going to rank or list your website. So you want it up and running way before you're even thinking about book launches or whatever. All we really need to launch the book the website, sorry, is the book cover. We take all of our inspiration from the styling of the book cover, the genre, we need to know that, and the blurb. They're the three things that kind of influence our design decisions, certainly. So if you're busy working on the manuscript and it's not coming out for another 2 months, get your website up and running. You could even start driving people to it to sign up to your mailing list, so that when you do launch your book, you've got a lovely warm audience who visited your site, signed up, and you can ping them an email that says, hey guys, thanks for waiting, my new book is finally out, here's the link.
Yeah,
So
like if you're waiting to your publication day, you've basically missed the train on some of the most useful time to have that website to, you know, to collect those emails so that you can hit those people who pre-ordered or shown interest. So you can say, buy my book on the first day, so you can then ideally spike your sales over that first week, get your reviews in that first week. Yeah, and
yeah,
that's why we also suggest folks work on getting their cover also before the editing is complete, because you want that's something you'll be using for everything from any ads you want to run, any social media bits you have. That's like the asset that's most important to have.
yeah,
At least
absolutely.
3 to 4 months before, I'd say.
Yeah, weirdly, the manuscripts can almost be the last thing that happens. Weirdly, but yeah, it's so critical to get that fantastic cover and use that for a lot of your marketing or assets or whatever.
Eira, I believe it's pronounced, says, I've used Wix a lot. I'm curious if you think the free version is good enough for a beginner author. So yeah, I know they offer free packages on Wix that sort of self-serve. What are the sort of limitations on the free Wix?
I don't think they do anymore, actually.
Oh,
I think they've dropped the free scheme. They have a very low price starter scheme, but they don't have the Wix free package anymore. As far as I'm aware, we certainly don't use it. And the reason we don't use it or didn't use it is because it comes with loads of Wix ad, or not necessarily Wix, but advertising, and you can't actually put your domain on it either. So
it's like
you'd end up
stugrant.wix.com.
exactly ends up being a Wix address, which you don't
Yeah.
want.
I,
Which there's nothing wrong with it, but you definitely want a pro URL. So yeah, honestly, if you want this to be a career, or you want this to be something that you enjoy and are passionate about, you've got to invest in it. This is not a free kind of option, in the sense of you can't do any of this for free. You've got to pay for decent book covers, you've got to pay for a decent website, you've got to pay for services that you might want to use. And certainly in terms of using a website, don't go for free. It generally won't provide you with the stuff you need.
because I think like one of the things that a lot of if you're thinking about self-publishing, I think a lot of the people here are for a long time there's been a stigma that self-published books are cheap and shit.
Yeah,
And so you really need to combat that. And that's why I think a lot of the elements, like the animation, where it's not to everyone's taste, but it makes it look bloody expensive, reassuringly expensive, that this is, a quality product instead of something that's been, put together on a GeoCities website and hawked at the back of your car boot.
yeah, exactly. No, and I think that's been amazing for the self-publishing community, that they have they strive to create product that is of such a high standard. It's indistinguishable from top end publishers and high end products. And I think that is reflective across all of the assets that an author uses. It has to be you get the best of everything if you can afford it. Obviously you can do some of this cheaply, or cheaper. You can do it yourself. There's all kinds of ways of saving bucks here and there, but you're right. You want everything to look high end.
Uh, got, I think, one last question here. Amy Darby says, Stuart, as you live in Norfolk, do you support Norwich City?
Do you know what's really odd? And I said that my wife was insane at the beginning, I think, but she is the season ticket holder in our family for Norwich City. So
Oh.
she shoots up the road every Saturday afternoon and gets freezing cold in the rain and watches blokes run around chasing a bit of leather that don't score. And I sit at home with a cup of tea with my daughter and play games. So no is the short answer. I've
Has,
been twice and could not stand it. So unfortunately, sport is not my bag, baby. But My wife loved
Has
it.
she met Delia Smith?
I think she's passed her in the corridors or whatever. And weirdly enough, my daughter, who's only 5, was actually at one point the youngest season ticket holder at Norwich, because Emma bought her one as pretty much as soon as she was born. So although she doesn't actually go to the football at the moment, she does have a seat that is next to Emma. So when she's old enough, Emma's going to drag her to the football.
Ah, sweet.
Um,
Setting her up for a lifetime of disappointment.
exactly, yeah. And we're undecided yet as to whether this is a good idea. But anyway, that's the future I face.
Well, things at least are looking better on the professional side.
Yeah,
Stuart, I want to thank you so much. This has been great. If you want the link to Stuart's profile at Reedsy, it is on the description here. But otherwise, it's reedsy.com/Stuart-Grant. Stuart, thank you again. We're going to have another webinar in just a few weeks, but thank you all for tuning in. And
thanks,
remember, give
guys.
this video a like. Cheers. See you next time, Stuart.
Thanks, Martin. Thanks, Reedsy. Thanks, people.
Bye.